What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed, start to move your balls. Wake up, Word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. Well, Kawesa, today is the day. You supposed to say for what?
I was like, huh? What's today?
Today is the day that I go and get my actual sew-in weave for my lawn. That's right. I'm going to get some sod today. That's right. That's right. I'm going to get some sod today. And yeah, we going out to oh God, where is it? Limerick.
Isn't that kind of
So
far?
I got to drive. Yeah, that's kind of far.
Close.
No, that's far. That's far, but they got the best side.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm going out there today, and, you know, we'll see. I got my van rented. I'm serious.
Oh, you have
I ain't
okay.
No, I ain't playing zero games. You understand? None. Yeah, I mean, Solomon don't know it yet, but he going to be out there sweating today with me. So
Listen, put him to work, okay?
I'm saying, boy, you 16. You don't get out here with this shovel. Yeah,
Yep.
we get ready. Oh, man, but he helped me do it last time when we had to do it. So, yeah, good worker, you know, good young man. But, yeah, he going to get his work in today. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to slide up a couple of dollars. You got to get your work in today. You're going to be out there sweating.
Yep.
So yeah, we're going to be doing that. And some sad news yesterday. So I'm sitting in the cafeteria, you know, in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed Sticks comes downstairs and she's limping.
Oh,
Like, what happened to you? And she wouldn't tell me. So we're going to have to take her to the vet today. Yeah, she limping around. I don't know what's wrong with her.
poor Sticks. She gonna be okay. Maybe she like laid on it wrong, on her leg wrong or something. I don't know.
Something. It's her back left leg. And so, you know, we're going to have to take her to the vet today. We made the appointment, and so we got to see about that. It's just all kind of stuff going on today. All kinds of stuff going on today. So we got to make sure, and, you know, Levita's coming back today. You know, of course, the cat wait to, you know, get hurt when she gone. So, you know, it's my fault, right?
You did it. To my cat.
You know. I didn't even see what happened to the cat. I just looked up, she limping. Like, what's wrong with you? So I'm hoping she's all right. You know what I mean? But there is some good news in the world. God bless Tessica Brown. You remember Tessica, don't you, Kweza?
I sure do.
Yeah, she went through an ugly and public ordeal when she put Gorilla Glue in her hair and posted about it on social media. She was subjected to ridicule and laughter from some people, okay, including me. Sorry, Tessica, I'm trying to get better. She tried washing it out, scrubbing it out, brushing it out. Nothing worked, and the world kept laughing and gawking and wondering if the biggest story since the pandemic would come to a happy ending. Then finally, the same social media that made her the target of public scorn brought her a black knight in a shining lab coat. His name is Dr. Michael Obeng, and he's a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. He helped her get that mess out of her head, and now she's back on social media with a nice, short, natural hairdo that suits her. It's the hair for me, she says in the video that's garnered more than 52,000 likes, and I'm glad things turned out all right for her. Kind of makes me think that the rest of us will be all right too. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Mary Catherine Roper of the ACLU of Pennsylvania on a new order to end racial bias in stop and frisk. Dr. Delana Wardlaw and Dr. Elena McDonald have the latest on COVID-19. Plus, Ali Saladin joins us to talk about Philly's Juneteenth celebration coming up. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065, or toll free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at onWURD. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, there is apparently millions of dollars that have been recovered in cryptocurrency paid in ransom to hackers whose attack prompted the shutdown of key East Coast pipeline last month, according to people briefed on the matter. The cryptocurrency was recovered, and the Justice Department is expected to announce details of the operation led by the FBI with the cooperation of the Colonial Pipeline operator. The people briefed on the matter said the ransom recovery is a rare outcome for a company that's fallen victim to a cyber attack in the booming criminal business of ransomware. Colonial Pipeline CEO Joseph Blount told the Wall Street Journal in an interview published last month that the company complied with the $4.4 million ransom demand because officials didn't know the extent of the intrusion by hackers and how long it would take to restore operations. But behind the scenes, the company had taken early steps to notify the FBI and followed instructions that helped investigators track the payments to a cryptocurrency wallet used by the hackers believed to be based in Russia. U.S. officials have linked the Colonial attack to a criminal hacking group known as DarkSide that's said to share its malware tools with other criminal hackers. A spokesman for the Justice Department declined to comment. CNN previously reported that U.S. officials were looking for any possible holes in the hackers' operational or personal security in an effort to identify the actors responsible, specifically monitoring for any leads that might emerge out of the way they move their money, one source said. So this cryptocurrency stuff is crazy, Kwesa. But $4.4 million in cryptocurrency, and the Justice Department was able to recover some of it. I'm looking for some people to be locked up.
Yeah, I'm looking for people to be locked up. I mean, you know, and the fact of the matter is that if we don't get a handle on these things, you know, it's gonna keep happening. Like, I mean, I don't really, you know, and I don't want to be all doom and gloom here, but at the same time, I mean, you got a lot of these, you know, hackers over there in Russia and in several other places that are really looking to, you know, bring us down on that type of level. And as you can see, we don't do too well when we get impacted by stuff like this. And so, you know, I'm hoping that they are able to really kind of figure out, you know, what the issues are and plug it up so that we don't continue to have folks hacking into our systems. Like, that should not be a thing that should be happening, especially in this country. You know, you talk about how we are, you know, we're a superpower or whatever, but you know, we looking, you know, not so superpowery right now.
We're vulnerable. I mean, that's the bottom line. We're vulnerable. There's a massive internet outage this morning because a cloud server company went down, right? Several sites are down around the internet because of that cloud company going down. Our energy grid is susceptible to being hacked. There was just a report on that yesterday. So yeah, we are vulnerable, and you know, I just think that people have to have backups to this stuff. You have to have some stuff that's charged. Maybe you want to have a transistor radio. Maybe you want to have some candles. You know what I mean? Maybe you need to be old school just a little bit to have some backup. Maybe you need to have a generator. Like, there's all of this stuff because you don't know when this stuff is going to go down. You never, ever know. That brings me to story number two. There's a new Senate report out that reveals new details about security failures ahead of the January 6th attack. But of course, they don't say anything about the role of Donald Trump. That's right. The Senate report reveals previously unknown details about the stunning security breakdowns ahead of the January 6th Capitol attack, adding an emphasis to previous evidence that there were massive intelligence failures, critical miscommunications, and unheeded warnings that ultimately led to the chaotic response that day. But at the same time, there are several glaring omissions in the report, including any examination of Donald Trump's role in the riots, raising questions about whether lawmakers, in their quest for bipartisanship, exposed the limits of a Congress divided and unable to agree on certain truths. that we all have seen. In order for this report, which was compiled by the Senate Homeland Security and Rules Committee, to have support from both parties, the language had to be carefully crafted, and that included excluding the word insurrection, which notably does not appear outside of witness quotes and footnotes. Did we look at Trump's role in the attack? The answer is no, said a committee aide to that Senate committee. Like previous witness testimony and independent reports on failures around the attack, the Senate report painted a damning portrait of security lapses on several levels leading up to January 6th. And, you had the FBI, you had DHS, you had the Secret Service, you had the Capitol Police, you had the Metro Police, and nobody knew these people were going to attack. That's absolutely crazy. I don't need a Senate report to tell me that.
Yeah, we don't need a Senate report to tell us that. And call it for what it is. Call a spade a spade. Like, this is his fault. And really, in all honesty, they were talking about they were giving tours to folks, prior to all of it. Like, no, there are several people who knew what was about to happen, what was going on. It was definitely an insurrection. Y'all are over here, trying to overthrow the government. That's what it was. Call it for what it is. And that's the thing that, just infuriates me the most, is that they continue to refuse to place blame where blame needs to be placed. And that is on that sorry behind president that we had prior to Joe Biden. I'm sorry, like he was.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absolutely his fault. It falls to him. And the fact that they don't even put out a report, just don't say nothing. You know what I mean? If it's like that, if you were going to put out a report, because you can lie by commission, right? When you actually say something that you know is untrue, but you can also lie by omission, by leaving out the details that you know are right. And that brings me to story number 3. It's a name we haven't heard in a while. Former President Barack Obama is speaking out. He said Republicans have been cowed into accepting a series of positions that would be unrecognizable and unacceptable even 5 years ago or a decade ago. He said this in an interview with CNN after his latest memoir, A Promised Land, was published late last year. He said he never thought some of the dark spirits that began rising within the Republican Party during his tenure would get this dark and reach the epicenter of the party. He, of course, cited that January 6th insurrection as an example, pointing out that there are now, quote, large portions of an elected Congress going along with the falsehood that there were problems with the election. The insurrection at the Capitol by Trump supporters came on the same day that 147 Republican lawmakers voted not to certify Joe Biden's electoral victory in key states. The falsehood that the 2020 presidential election was stolen has been pushed by former President Donald Trump himself, who has since cheered on baseless Republican audits of elections. Asked by Cooper about Republican leaders briefly going against Trump following the insurrection, Obama said, and then poof, suddenly everybody was back in line. Now, the reason for that, Obama said, is because the base believed it, and the base believed it because this had been told to them, not just by the president, but by the media that they watch. In his book, Obama wrote that what we've all been thinking, that his historic election in 2008 created a wave of bitter and divisive turmoil. Trump, Obama argues in the book, encapsulates that turmoil because to millions of Americans spooked by a black man in the White House, he promised an elixir for their racial anxiety. I want to talk about backlash. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Backlash. That's what we experienced with the election of Donald Trump. Backlash. That's what we experienced with people saying all lives matter. Backlash. That's what we experienced at the January 6th riots. We experience backlash whenever black people make any advances in this country. Backlash. That's what we experience whenever Joe Louis won a fight. Backlash. That's what we experience with the Tulsa Race Massacre. Backlash is what we experience when we make advancements. We have to know that historically and understand it and expect to have it coming. We should expect to see something happen as a result of black people making any kind of advancement. Backlash. That's what we experienced when O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. backlash. That's what we experience anytime these systems that are set up to our detriment, that are set up to make us fail, that are set up for us to lose, anytime we win in these systems, then we experience backlash. Backlash is what we experienced in 2013 when the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act. Backlash is what we experienced when Barack Obama was elected president. I'm glad he finally said it. I'm glad he's finally acknowledging it. I'm glad he's finally telling us what we already knew and sensed for ourselves. But we have to understand that this is what's coming. We have to understand that this is how America works. We have to understand that these systems are not set up for us to win. And when we do, we will experience backlash. The question is, how do we prepare for that? Right? How do we set ourselves up so that, okay, when the backlash comes, not if, but when the backlash comes, we will be prepared with a counter move, that we have plotted this out 3 moves down the line, right? We have to talk about backlash. The reason that there was a Donald Trump, the reason that we are in the position that we are in today is not because it's Barack Obama's fault, but it is because there is backlash. And he said it, a direct quote. He said, to millions of Americans spooked by a black man in the White House, Trump promised an elixir for their racial anxiety. Backlash. We got to talk about it on the other side of this break. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD Radio. We'll be right back.
Between family dinners, bedtime stories, and study sessions, Pico knows that life never stops moving. So if you need help paying your energy bills, there are financial programs available, like the Customer Assistance Program, or CAP, that offers a monthly credit that can lower your gas and electricity payments. Learn how Pico can help keep your life moving with CAP. See if you qualify at pico.com/CAP.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
Undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Tune into Reality Check, hosted by Charles Ellison, Wednesdays at 12:25 p.m. Eastern Time for tech, life, stuff, and the latest digital tips of the week. Brought to you by Comcast.
Now, a traffic update
On WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Smart Mouth, the only 24-hour mouthwash with twice daily use. Now looking at 95 southbound, jam Cotman to Bridge through construction. Again, Betsy Ross down through Girard. South of that, Walt Whitman down to Broad, jam there through a construction zone. Northbound 95 looking good. Vine Expressway westbound 95 to Broadslow Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound heavy Broad to Pass Young through construction. Eastbound side Boulevard through Girard. A busy ride. Southbound Boulevard, that is a jam. 9th Street down to Fox through that construction. 55 north through jam there, already different in the 42. There's nothing that'll scare your hot date away faster than bad breath. Luckily, Smart Mouth mouthwash has got your back for 24 full hours with 2 rinses a day. Find Smart Mouth in the mouthwash aisle at CVS or visit smartmouth.com to find a retailer near you. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM.
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. One thing that keeps cropping up in my mind as I watch these companies and pipelines get hacked, as I watch the some sections of the internet go down because a cloud company is having some trouble, have we become too dependent on technology? You know, it just keeps cropping up in my mind. If a criminal organization can cut off your energy source, right, by using a ransomware attack online through computers, have we become too dependent on technology? If every 5 seconds we're looking at our phones and trying to see what messages we've gotten, trying to see what responses we've gotten, trying to see how many likes we've gotten, trying to see how many followers we have, if we've become so dependent on our phones that we no longer remember people's phone numbers, we have to look in the phone to find them. If we become so dependent on our phones that we can't even put them down when we're driving, if we become so dependent on these phones that they feel like a part of our body, have we become too dependent on technology? I want to know what you think. You give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Of course, also talking about this new Senate report that comes out talking about the January 6th insurrection, but the word insurrection, the Senate committee does not use it, right? They come out with a report examining the January 6th insurrection, but don't mention the role of Donald Trump. Like, if you're going to do that, don't bother. Don't bother. Because it's nonsense. You can lie by commission, right? By just saying something that you know is untrue, but you can lie by omission. That's a lie. If your report does not mention Donald Trump at all, it's a lie. Like, to me, it invalidates everything else about it. Now, you could talk about the security failures. The FBI didn't talk to the Department of Homeland Security, and the Capitol Police didn't have their warnings heeded, and the National Guard wasn't sent out or put on alert like they were when black people came down there. Like, you could talk about all of that, but if you're going to omit the role of Donald Trump gathering the people there in the first place, if you're going to omit the role of people just reading what they were saying on the internet, they said they were going to do it. Like, what security lapse is that? You can't read? Like, I mean, it's just, it's silly to me to even do it. Like, why even put out the report if you're not going to tell the truth? And, of course, Barack Obama finally says what all of us have been thinking all along, which is that Trump's election was backlash. It was backlash because Barack Obama was elected as the first black president of the United States. He called Trump, quote, an elixir for their racial anxieties, right? And so I want to know what you think about that as well. You give me a call, 215-634-8065. Of course, something going on in your home state of New Jersey today, and polls are now open, Kwesi. So what's happening?
Yeah, so I almost forgot. Shout out to Mommy Mathis for sending me a text. She actually gave me, I have my ballot actually still in my purse. But New Jersey has a primary election today, y'all. So make sure that you're going out and voting. Of course, all of the different counties have different folks that they're voting for. But in this particular election, Phil Murphy is, going up for full term for governor again. So, maybe you might want to, on a Democratic side, you might want to just kind of jump in there, slide on through, and check it out. The polls are open from 6 to 8 p.m. Today. So, definitely go out and vote. Do what you got to do because, yeah, it's pretty important. Almost forgot. I can't believe it.
Yeah, so the governor is on the ballot, but there are 4 candidates challenging Governor Murphy, apparently, for Republicans, right?
Yes, from what I'm seeing, and I'm looking at my ballot now, trying to understand who's going up against him. But we have Philip Rizzo, Brian Levine, Hirsch Singh, and it looks like Jack Citarelli. I don't know any of these people. I hear the last name Rizzo, and I'm like, oh, who is that? So I know that they've been playing. They have been going really hard against Hirsch Singh, though, because apparently, he actually supported the protests and things like that at one point. And so I've been seeing a lot of like really dangerous ads that have been popping up against him. But I don't know anything about these Republican candidates. And really at the end of the day, I'm not voting Republican anyway, but yeah. So there are 4 going up against him, though.
Yeah. And so make sure if you live in New Jersey that you go out and you vote in the primary election today. Of course, some other things going on here in Philadelphia. There are negotiations going on around the budget, how much money will be spent on gun violence, where that money is going to go. And it's always interesting, man, I think, to watch, how these things play out. I think at the end of the day, we all have work to do. And, one of the things that I've learned over the years, having worked in government, having worked in media, having worked in politics, what I've learned is that people fight over money, right? But the question for me is always this: are you fighting for the people? Or are you fighting for yourself, right? Because I think there's a difference. And, when we get to the point where we are fighting over money, the work actually suffers. And so our people are dying. And this is not a time for speeches. This is not a time for grandstanding. This is not a time for self-aggrandizement. This is not a time to try to pay people off. This is not a time for any of that, because all of that stuff goes on, and it just does. But at the end of the day, our people are dying, right? And that has to be the focus. How do we save the lives of our people? And I think part of that focus has to be the admission that none of us has the answer, that there is no one answer, right? And I think the other admission that has to happen is that many of the people who claim that they have answers haven't actually talked to the people who are in it. And so, I think we need to keep our focus on saving the lives of our people. And if we can do that, then we can move the needle. If it's not about that, guess what? It's not going to work. If it's not about serving others, it's not going to work. If it's not about actually caring about the people whose lives are at risk, it's not going to work. And so we have to keep our focus on that. Too often we're fighting over money, and certainly it takes money to do the work. But if you're doing it out of a love for the people, if you're doing it out of a concern for the lives of those you care about, if you're doing it out of a concern that the violence might visit your doorstep next, then the quality of the work is different. If the impetus for you doing it, if the reason for you doing it is that I want to make a couple dollars, well, you've already lost. I will never take a dime for the work that I do in Man Up PHL. If we get money, guess what? We're going to try to make sure the majority of it goes out to the people who we serving. That's what it's for. And so we just, I think all of us, man, have to take a breath and take a step back and stop fighting over crumbs. We need to be fighting for our people. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. So I want to hear from you. You give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Brother Joe from Germantown is on line 1. Go ahead, Brother Joe.
Hey, Brother Simon. Quick. How y'all doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I praise people a lot. Brother Simon, before I talk about the tragedy with that young girl that got killed at the Dunkin' Donuts, your comments just now remind me what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said. Sometimes we as black people, we fight for crumbs. Sometimes we do it in such an unsavory manner, in the sense that we don't do it for the business of our people. Like you said, the money for Man Up. Like you said, something you ain't trying to pocket. Now you want to do it for what we do in Man Up to help our people out, help the young brothers stay on the right path. So we do it to the point where we just scheme against each other. We was fighting for some crumbs that you make the white man downtown disrespects all of us with the pettiness that some of these Negroes display. I just want to say that real quick, Simon. But on that killing yesterday, I heard your passion yesterday, Simon. I agree with you. Because as I told your co-worker, Andrea Lawful Sanders, that guy is a coward and a punk. That's what he is, a coward and a punk. Like you said, he shoot that sister. She gave him the money. There was no need for him to do it. He made a choice. I don't want no rationale, no excuses. He made a conscious choice to take that sister's life, and he's a piece of garbage. And if they took him off the face of the earth, Simon, I wouldn't shed a tear. Because what he did was just totally uncalled for. It was unnecessary, man. And the shame that family is grieving right now. That woman left back with a couple of children, I think his grandchildren, and that shouldn't have had to happen like that, man. It was wrong, and I hope that he gets taken off these streets, man. And that's right, and that's what I wanted to say. Thanks for letting me say my piece. I feel strong about that. I really do.
All right, man. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Brother Hurt from North Philly is on line 2. Go ahead, Brother Hurt.
Good morning, Sean. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Hey, Sean, y'all is the best, man. Word radio station from 4 o'clock in the morning. Y'all just the greatest, man. You get your gospel, you get you. It's just wonderful, Simon. Simon, it's always been backlash against black people. No good. How much you do, here they come again next. Doug Williams won the Super Bowl, broke all the records, got one commercial.
Yep.
Then you ask him when you going to Disneyland. You know what I mean? It's impossible. Michael Jackson breaks Elvis Presley records. The next day, he's a child molester. It doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't make any sense. Stay strong, Simon, and Dunkin' Donuts need to kick that money out. They need to put some more money up. We're a rap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do.
We're a rap.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, man. We appreciate that. And tell your granddaughter we said hello, too. We appreciate her. She was so cute yesterday, Kawesa.
Yeah, it did my heart well. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. The Senate puts out a report on the insurrection, doesn't use the word insurrection, right? And doesn't mention the role of Donald Trump. And my question is 2 words: why bother? You know, if you ain't gonna if you ain't gonna tell the truth, just don't even do it. Like, why even bother? If you don't mention the role, the reason the people were there is because Donald Trump called them to come there. He was running ads online. I saw them on Philly.com. They had ads everywhere. January 6th, come to the Capitol. And they knew that was the day that the election was certified. That's why they called the people to come to the Capitol on that day. The people were saying online what they were going to do. You didn't need a spy agency to figure that out. We got 17 spy agencies in the United States, Kawesa. 17. You know what I'm saying? How do you not know? The people wrote it online. We're gonna breach the Capitol today.
I know.
That's what we're gonna do. Like,
I know.
What intelligence failure? What intelligence did you need? All you had to do was read Facebook. You know what I'm saying? What intelligence did you need? Did you need to have like spies among them like you did us with the Black Panthers? You know what I mean? Did you need to do, you didn't even need to do that. You ain't need to do none of that. And here's the deep thing. They had people in the Proud Boys who were FBI informants for years. How do you not know what they were going to do? So in other words, you knew. The government knew exactly what they were going to do. Why do you now need a report? That doesn't mention Donald Trump. Don't bother. Stop playing with us, man. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD, putting out a report. Putting out a report for what? That doesn't mention the person that brought them there in the first place. Forget saying, you know, you don't even got to say that that Donald Trump inspired this insurrection. You ain't got to say that, right? But you do have to say that he brought them there in the first place. They came there at his invitation. When they were beating the cops, they said, the president sent us. We're here because the president told us to be here. How do you not mention him at all? That's just silly. Just don't bother. Take the report, put it back in your pocket, walk away. We don't want to hear it. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk with Dr. Elena McDonald, Dr. Delana Wardlaw. There's some news coming out about the COVID vaccines, as well as what's going on with this virus. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
WURD is supported by Temple University, which is Philadelphia's public university. At Temple, students are surrounded by change makers who offer meaningful contributions to our city, country, and the world. Our facility, staff, and students are thought leaders who propose solutions for racial disparities, break down barriers to opportunity, champion equal rights, and challenge oppressive ideas. We believe that empowered minds preserve, and every member of the Temple community deserves space to shine.
Hello, my name is Andrea Delzell, and I've been using a wheelchair since I was 5 years old. If I had one message for the general public, it would be relax. Some folks get really flustered around disabled people, so they just pretend we're not there. I've actually had waiters talk to my companion and completely ignore me. People with disabilities just want the same respect and consideration as everyone else.
This is a message from United Spinal Association. Download our disability etiquette booklet at unitedspinal.org.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Indeed.com. 95 southbound, still a jam, Cobbin Avenue, right down through Girard. South of that, heavy in the Broad Street, still an accident there being worked on. Westbound Vine delays 8th out the Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill eastbound, busy. Bluebird through Belmont, again the Boulevard through Girard. Westbound, heavy Broad to Passyunk through construction, jammed against City after Belmont. Again, Gladwin right through Conshohocken. Southbound Boulevard, Route 1, you're jammed from 9th Street down to Fox through construction there. 55 northbound, you're jammed Deptford into 42. Not to be a backseat driver, but if you need to hire great people fast, you need Indeed. Sponsor a job and you'll immediately get a list of quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches your job description. More at Indeed.com/credit. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I'm going to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. Joining us now, Dr. Delana Wardlaw. I'm sure Dr. McDonald will be along in a minute. Dr. Wardlaw, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
That's good. That's good. So I want to talk about something disturbing that has happened in Maine. So apparently 8 Maine residents died after being fully vaccinated from COVID-19, according to the Maine Centers for Disease Control. How does that happen, and how common is it?
Well, so it happens because even though the vaccines are highly effective, they're not 100% effective. So even though it's unnerving, it's not surprising, Solomon. So the vaccines, the Moderna and the Pfizer are approximately 91% effective. So that means about 10% of people are unfortunately still going to contract COVID. And that's with any vaccine. Now, those are called breakthrough infections. And when those breakthrough infections occur, there is a chance that patients could ultimately get ill, get hospitalized at a significantly lower rate, and or death, unfortunately. So, again, not surprising, is unnerving, but nothing is 100%. And most people who do get breakthrough infections, the viral load is lower, it's a shorter duration of illness, and it is less likely to be transmitted to others, and it is a lower sickness level, less significant side effects. But again, that's only in 91% of the population. Then you still have that other 9 to 10% where they could have unfortunately still experience severe effects and or death. But
so,
Doctor, it is rare.
Okay. So, Dr. McDonald, you're with us now. In terms of what we do, knowing that there are 9 or 10% of people who could still get infected, even though they've taken the vaccine. What does that mean for the rest of us? I mean, what should we do?
The first thing is that, of course, we want as many people as possible to get vaccinated. And when the majority of people are vaccinated, the likelihood of these breakthrough infections will decrease. So everybody continue to stay the course. Everyone continue to get their vaccines. Vaccines work. We have seen vaccines work time and time again. We have seen it stamp out chickenpox. We've seen it stamp out polio. We've seen it stamp out measles. We've seen it stamp out mumps. We have seen vaccines work. The vaccine is our best chance to protect us against coronavirus. And if everyone and as many people as possible get vaccinated, then there's a great chance that we can stamp out this virus as quickly as possible.
And Solomon, can I piggyback? This is why it's important that even though people who are fully vaccinated, if you're exposed to COVID and develop symptoms, you still need to get tested. So we, us vaccinated folks, we can't go on. But, we're less likely to get infected. But if we start exhibiting symptoms and or have been exposed, then we definitely should get tested to make sure that we don't have a breakthrough infection.
So, Dr. McDonald, in terms of what's happening with the infections, the number of infections are going down. So apparently the number of infections the U.S. is reporting on average is about 14,400 daily new infections. That's over the past week. The numbers haven't been that low since the early days of the pandemic early last year. What's driving that drop in infections?
What's driving that drop is vaccinations. Vaccinations is driving that drop because if you recall, back last summer, early December, January, we were at 100,000 plus new daily infections per day. And that was despite us doing our best efforts of social distancing, wearing the mask, crowd control. That just was not enough. The vaccine is what's driving these numbers, Solomon.
And if I can also say, Solomon, the other thing that is driving is the vaccine is the major driver, but the other thing also is there are several people who have been infected with COVID as well, and they also have some, if they haven't been vaccinated, they also have some protective immunity as well. So that's also adding to driving the numbers down as well, behind the major driver, which is the vaccine.
Okay. So we keep hearing, though, about this theory. Now, on Monday, the Wall Street Journal reported that a U.S. government laboratory concluded last year that it's possible the virus leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China, and that theory deserved further investigation. Dr. Wardlaw, I'll start with you. What does that mean for us?
Well, that means that I think it absolutely deserves further investigation, because if you can pinpoint the origin of the virus, then you can prevent another coronavirus outbreak or pandemic occurring in the future. So it's absolutely necessary. We can get to the bottom of it. I'm just not sure that we can, Solomon. I mean, I don't know if that's an easy feat to for the U.S. to be able to gain access to that intelligent, all the vital access. But it's definitely necessary. The question is, how do we get it?
Dr. McDonald, what do you think?
I agree. There needs to be full transparency as to the origin of this virus, how it spread, and as to Dr. Wardlaw's point, when you look at things, you look at things in hindsight, and you look at them and go over details. Hindsight is 2015. Hopefully, it will prevent something like this from happening again in the future. But again, we need full transparency.
So, Dr. Wardlaw, you talked about if you could find the origin of it, you could pinpoint some things that would help you to prevent this in the future. How does that work?
Well, if it was identified, so hypothetically, because we still don't know, definitely that it originated in a lab. But if you can contain that, if you can take more of steps to make sure that things are being safely secured, make sure that policies and procedures are in place to make sure that these viruses aren't escaping different areas, then we could help contain it. Again, dealing with speculation because we still don't have all the details. We're not 100% sure, but it absolutely can help us to help contain it if that's where it came from, and prevent it from occurring again.
Now, Dr. McDonald, I'll ask you this question. Given that you're a pediatrician, they are now conducting tests for kids 5 and up to get shots of the COVID vaccine, and so how are those tests going? I mean, have you heard anything about them?
We do know that Moderna, their ultimate goal is to test children down to 6 months of age. So they're doing what they call de-escalation studies, where they're dropping the age. As they show it's safe in the older age groups, they continue to drop it to the younger age with the younger age group. Today, I do not have any new information as to exactly where they are in the trials, but we do know that they have started the trials, and we do know that CHOP is actually running a Moderna trial at this point also. We just don't have, they have not released any concrete data at this point in time for us to discuss, with the community.
All right. Well, we'll keep on reporting on this, and of course watching and seeing what's going on with the virus, with the vaccines, but the numbers really low at this point. 14,400 average daily infections over the last week. That's the lowest since the beginning of this outbreak, and so absolutely things are changing. Dr. Wardlaw, where do people find the two of you?
Solomon, before we go, can I address a caller's question last week about if her vaccine was still protective against the variant? Can I answer that?
Absolutely.
Yes, so the caller wanted to know, since she got Pfizer, I'm not sure which one she got, but she wanted to know if the vaccine was still effective against variants. The ongoing research, even though the vaccines were produced before the variant, unbeknownst to us, started to appear, the researchers are testing these vaccines against the variants that we're aware of on a regular basis. To date, the vaccines are still effective against the variants. Now, if the studies start to show that the vaccines aren't as effective as we need to be against the variants, that's what we need to start having a discussion about booster shots. So we're still prepared to be able to address that issue as well, but we have not had to do that just yet. All the vaccines are still effective against the variants that we're aware of to date.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because that was absolutely a question last week, and thank you. So where do we find the two of you?
You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TwinSisterDoc, and you can follow us at our website at thetwinsisterdoc.com.
All right. Dr. Delana Wardlaw, Dr. Elena McDonald, I want to thank you both for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you, Solomon.
All right, all right. So we got a couple minutes, so we can take your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show, 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. At FORWURD. That's FORWURD. That's where you can weigh in and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do actually have quite a few comments here, so I'm just going and pulling them up now. But yes, so we have, oh, and actually she's on the line, so I will not read her comment. Kathleen West, good morning to you. She's saying, good morning, Solomon Quace, and everyone have a blessed and safe day. Miss Cheryl Brown, good morning to you. Thanks so much for checking us out. Malcolm White, good morning to you also. And then also, shout out to my cousin, Robert Singleton. He's checking us out also. Thanks so much, cuz. Always appreciate it. Kim Wheeler says, morning, everyone. Thanks for being there, Solomon and Kawesa. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for being there and listening to us. We appreciate that. And then also Rebecca Truxton, good morning to you as well. I did grab a couple of screenshots, so I did want to make sure that I read a few of those. Gloria Gainey is saying here, let me see. She said, Brother Selma, tell the truth. Backlash is real. Veronica Smith says, good morning, Word family. Blessings to all. Be safe and stay woke. Today's hot topic, backlash. So that's another comment. Coyce Vickers Jr., he's checking us out from Pine Hill, New Jersey. Make sure you go out and vote there. So I'm going to be doing that too. So let's make sure that we do that. Ozias Johnson, thanks for checking us out. He says here, good morning, Vietnam, Solomon. Every home should have a shortwave radio. So that's in regards to your comments a little bit earlier, Solomon. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think you're right. We probably do need to be prepared for that. And then also Gail Robinson, good morning to you. Steph Michelle, thanks for checking us out. And then also Netta McQuilla says, always said that about the internet. Never know when you have to go old school and pick up a piece of paper and a pen. Be ready just in case. Yvette Miles, New Jersey votes today. Yep, absolutely correct. Deborah Learley Robinson, yes, we are too engrossed in our devices. Phones are never out of our hands. That's very true as well. And then Juanita Bryant says, the Senate report is part of the Senate report is part of the ongoing cover-up. The fact that the word, quote, insurrection was omitted is proof. The Democrats have to go big or go home and work to beat Republicans at their own game. So that is another comment that we have there as well. And just as a heads up for my New Jersey folks, if in fact you do not know where to go to vote, there is actually a number that you can call. So grab your pens, papers real quick. So the number is 1-877-NJ-VOTER. So that's 1-877-658-6837. Again, 1-877-658-6837. If you have questions about where to go to vote or just, other questions in regards to voting in general, give them a call. They'll be able to help you out so that you know of your polling place. So a lot of folks did not get a mail-in ballot like previously because we were just sent that automatically. This time you do need to make sure that you're going in and voting if you did not request an absentee ballot. So that's just another kind of tip to folks as well. But I see we got to go to break, so I will digress.
All right. So on the other side of this break, we're going to talk with Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller. He is one of the original people who joined us for the Rally for Justice Coalition. We getting the gang back together because these cops are trying to get their jobs back. There are several names that we are going to share with you on the other side of this break. And there are some messages that they have delivered on Facebook that we cannot allow to stand. We cannot allow this to be swept under the rug. We cannot allow ourselves to ever forget. We are going to make sure that these people stay fired. Reverend Waller joins us on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
The Black Words Book Club.
WURD Radio's conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The next book for June is Taught by Women, Poems as Resistance Language by Hakeem Adabuti. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it, Tuesday, June 8th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for WURD members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color.
The WURD Radio Newsletter. Keeping you informed, engaged, and connected.
Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources.
Stay informed
with the WURD Radio Newsletter. Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
You're waking up
with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. Joining us now is Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller. He's the senior pastor at Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church, member of the Rally for Justice Coalition, who came together and got 15 cops fired or forced off of the payroll because of their racist and otherwise offensive Facebook posts. Pastor Waller, good morning.
Good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I am good. It's another day's journey, and I'm so glad about it.
Yeah, we like the Blues Brothers, man. Got to get the band back together because apparently these folks are trying to get their jobs back, and we've known this for a while. That they are in arbitration. We expected that it would go to arbitration. One of them, however, was able to get his job back, and we've got others that are coming up in the arbitration process. But you know, when you saw that one of them got their jobs back, what went through your mind?
Well, I was saddened to see the process fall out like that. I do know that one of them also was upheld, and he stayed fired. So that let me know that, number one, the process is going on. So far, they're 1-1, and it means that we need to make our voices heard to pay attention to the process. You know, I believe that arbitration processes need to exist. Particularly because I'm a black man, And I need to know that if a system abuses me, there's a way to fight that system. But we need to weigh in on this because we knew 2 years ago that this was a possibility. And we just need to make sure that we pay attention to this process. And in light of last year and everything we learned through the George Floyd experience, put a light on all parts of the process with law enforcement and make sure that there's equity and fairness across the board. But it does cause me concern that one of them got their job back.
Yeah. And the one who got his job back is Officer Christian Finico. He has been reinstated with back pay. And Daniel Farrelly had his firing upheld. There are others who presumably will have arbitration hearings coming up who are also fired. One of them is Joseph Perzaporka. The other is Thomas Gack. There's another named Brian Milligan, and there's another named Robert Oakes. There are 7 other officers who retired before they could be fired, and they may also come back and try to say that they were forced out, that they want their jobs back. And so this is not something that I think our people can ignore, because the things that they said were heinous and hateful and violent in many cases, and that's why they were fired. Why is it important, Pastor Waller, for us to understand what's going on with this system right now?
Well, the reason that it's important is because of what we have solidified since that time. I mean, we know that it is a mindset or ideology that leads to the actions of a Derek Chauvin or any number of persons. And so if you have a chance to identify that mindset and deal with it, that's good for the overall system. You know, I think that this process has affirmed what most of us think. Remember, we started out with about 300 people with questionable Facebook posts, and true to form of what most of us think about police officers, the majority of them were, silly stuff that you or I could be guilty of and did not require firing, and the majority of them were just people like me and you. Now, out of that 300, there were 13 or 15 that were so egregious that their system said they need to go. That's what I think about the police force. I believe that most of them are just like me and you, want to do a good job and do a good job. But there is a percentage of them, like these 15, that they even identified need to be addressed, and they did address it. Now, to reverse themselves on this sends the wrong signal post-2020 that commitment to reform and commitment to change is afoot. And so I think that the larger issue is, what does the system say to a community who has learned this stuff? And we know better now. We know more about the system since last year than 2 years ago. We know more about the processes that inform bad behavior. And this is an opportunity. This is not even us identifying bad things. This is them identifying bad things amongst themselves and deciding to do something about it. And what we are saying is, just do what you said, uphold it, and send a signal to the community that you are requiring a higher standard for those that we give power to police.
Mm-hmm. Some of the things that they said, I think, need to be, I think, reiterated. Joseph Perzaporka said, "Death to Islam." He had a whole, picture, and although I am not Muslim, I'm Christian, right?
Yep,
you are
yep.
too.
Yep.
We have brothers and sisters in our community who are Muslim, right?
That's right.
And so when you say that about my brother, and literally I have a brother who was Muslim, then you saying that to me. You saying that to our community? That's our people. What do you mean? You're not. So you saying kill our people? Is that what you say? You know that, and I think what people have to understand is that, and I said this the other day, Pastor, as a man thinketh, so is he. If that's what you're thinking, then that's who you are. Then that's what you really want to do, because your thoughts become actions. We saw that with Derek Chauvin, you know, as he had 18 complaints over the course of his career, and finally killed somebody in George Floyd. The guy that killed Alton Sterling, people within his department were saying, if we don't get a handle on this guy, he's going to kill somebody, and he did. You know, you see it time after time after time that the ones who kill people unjustly, they've said things, they've done things, they've had all of this stuff over the course of their career, and because they weren't stopped, it cost somebody their lives. And that's my concern with bringing these guys back. You bringing them back knowing their mindset.
That's right. And I agree. I agree with you 100%. And it signals a community. It tells the community that we don't care about what we've learned over the last year. And I really believe that this is a tipping point for the arbitrator, for the arbitration system, and it is the first opportunity for that system to tell us whether they learned anything or not. And that's why we must pay attention to it. And that's why we must weigh in, because this is it's an inflection point.
We're talking with Reverend Dr. Alan E. Wilder. He's a senior pastor at Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church, a member of the Rally for Justice Coalition. We came together and we protested, we rallied, we strategized, and we met with the mayor and more than one police commissioner, and eventually 15 police were either fired or forced off the job because of those actions, and now they're trying to get their jobs back. Pastor Wilder, we talked a little bit about that arbitration system. There have been some questions about the arbitration system. One of the questions I have is that, you know, we know who judges are. We can see their names and we can, you know, see their faces, and we know who they are. These arbitrators, we don't know who they are. That's a concern for me.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that is where I think that our action should be raising questions about arbitrators, the Arbitrator Association. I think that this leads into a larger conversation about what we as the people voted for back in November, the CPOC, the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. All of these things are tied together, if not directly, indirectly. And this is an opportunity for the city to learn from its past mistakes, how to use the CPOC as well as light on the arbitration process to bring something that is more transparent and more fair to this process. So I think that's why it's important that we speak about it, and that's why it's important that right now we just put eyes on it and talk about it.
Yeah. Our folk have to know, man. And I think that, you know, too often we just trying to survive. We just trying to get from day to day. We coming out of this pandemic. Some of us, you know, have been out of work. Some of us have been struggling in terms of just putting food on the table, like, you know, and for these things to be going on, these arbitration sessions, really behind the scenes on Zoom, can't nobody see them, don't nobody know who's there, you know, that whole thing, I think is a problem. And I think that light has to be shed on it so that the community can know the danger that we are in. Timothy Loman, who killed Tamir Rice, had been fired from another police department prior to being hired in your hometown of Cleveland.
That's right. That's
and
exactly
killing
right.
Tamir Rice.
Yeah. Having communication across boards, having some standards and transparency. And again, all of this comes from the lens or perspective that there's a certain amount, and some people may disagree with me on this, there's a certain amount of power and deference that we give to police officers that I think we should, that we give to them to do their job. And because we defer to them and give them some things, you know, I know people talk about qualified immunity, and I know there's some questions about that, but there's a certain level of deferment, there's a certain level of honor, respect, dignity, and power that we give to police officers to do their job. And it is from that belief that we have to critique, because if you display that you don't deserve that deference, power, and gift of our trust, you can't be there. You know, we're saying to a man or to a woman that if you walk up to me and tell me to do something, I need to do it. If you come up to, if you pull me over, if you tell me to stand up or sit down, I need to voluntarily do that. Turn my will over to you because you are a police officer. And that's what we are saying. Then you need to be of a certain ilk and character and deportment for me to give you that. And if you are not that, then you don't get to have that relationship to me or relatedness to me as a citizen. It is out of that that I speak and that I think we all speak. We're going to give you this level of stature in our community. You have to have a certain level of deportment, and when you break that, you lose the gift called being a police officer.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, it takes a certain level of, again, you have to operate in a spirit of service, not in a spirit of occupation.
Right.
You know, and if you are not operating in a spirit of service, if in fact you have disdain, hatred for the people whose community you are coming into, then you don't need to be there.
Yeah.
You know, and as I look over the posts from these people who are now going to be coming before these arbitrators trying to get their jobs back, you know, I'm appalled. Robert Oakes said this, and it's offensive, but I think people need to know. He said, here's your Miranda rights, right? Miranda rights, that's when they read you your rights. He said, you have the right to shut the F up. Anything you say will cause me to effing throat punch you. You have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford one, that's your own effing fault. You should have done better in life. At any point, you could decide to F off, but if you did that in the first place, then I wouldn't have to waste my time reading you your rights, you pile of S. Like, this is, and this is your attitude towards our community. You don't need to be here. You need to find another job, doing something else, you know, violence towards women, that kind of thing in these posts. I'm reading it and I'm like, no, you should not be patrolling our streets because you are a menace to us. And again, these cases, you find it over and over and over again. The reason it matters that these people have been fired and need to remain fired is because if you bring them back, they pose a danger to our community, and then we'll be saying, oh, he finally killed somebody. Like, we can't, I just think we can't allow our community to be in that position, Pastor.
Yeah, I agree with you. And to that point, I think we need to remember that this is not us saying they need to be fired. The police already said they need to be fired.
That's right.
Again, so, and I think we need to hear that. The system called the police force looked at this and determined the exact same thing that you're saying. These persons need to lose their job because there are good people in that system who are trying to do the right thing. And I keep saying that because it is important for us to have a balanced approach at this thing. And I think it is important to say to the system, we believe in you, but help us keep our belief. And right now, here is a moment in history where you can show that all of the loss and tragedy and trials of this last year did not fall on deaf ears. There's a change happening. And that, I hope, we will see come to fruition, and that's why we got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You know, my wife is part of the PDAC, the Police District Advisory Committee in the 14th District. Yeah. And she's been volunteering with them for years. One of the things I told the commissioner when we met with them, and, you know, this kind of stuff undermines their work. I think on the 10th, they're going to be giving out free water ice at Rita's, at Stenton and Haynes. You know, trying to make that connection with the community. But this undermines all of that.
That's right.
It undermines all of it. And so the people who should care the most about this should be those within that system who are trying to do the right thing.
That's exactly right. You know, I often joke. I mean, we at Enon have been doing a support of police officers stuff for the last 20 years. You know, now I will not get involved in any action that, you know, calls out the name blue, because I think that in this moment, the only color that we can affirm in that conversation is black. So I don't do, I love the blue, the anything. I don't think you can call any color right now other than black. Everything else is taken out of context. However, I have said publicly and still will say publicly, if I were not a pastor, my choice would have been to be a police officer. I still have a great deal of respect for the institution, and it is out of that we critique it. It is out of a love for and a need for in our community those who are willing to serve in that capacity, that we critique and hold them to a different standard because we give them a different level of deference. It is from that perspective that we must challenge this.
Absolutely. And so we are working and talking and meeting behind the scenes as we craft a response to this, and you will be hearing more about it. But I just thought it was important to frame the conversation so that people understand that we cannot let this stand. If you're fired because of what you did in this, you need to remain fired, and we will do everything we can to make sure that that happens. Pastor Waller, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
All right, my friend. Take care.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. So we are going to go to break, and on the other side of this break, we are going to continue the conversation right here on WURD.
COVID's put life on pause way too long. Vaccines prevent nearly 100% of hospitalizations and death from COVID-19. So far, over 100 million people have decided to press play by getting theirs. And now everyone 12 and older can get one. Keep listening for vaccine locations close to you, or text your zip code to 438-829. Message and data rates apply. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Solomon Jones. I'm the morning drive host of Wake Up with Word here at WURD Radio in Philadelphia. This time last year, we couldn't go to work, school, church, or even out to eat. We were all separated and trying to be safe at home. People we knew and loved were getting sick and dying from COVID-19. Well, now there's a vaccine. It's safe, it's available, and it's free. Get the vaccine. It's the right thing to do. Think about those who got sick or died. Think about what they would tell you to do. And then do what I did. Get your free COVID-19 vaccine at blackdoctorsconsortium.com.
Tune into Reality Check, hosted by Charles Ellison, Wednesdays at 12:25 p.m. Eastern Time for Tech Life Steph and the latest digital tips of the week. Brought to you by Comcast.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Smart Mouth, the only 24-hour mouthwash with twice daily use. Looking at delays on the Schuylkill Expressway, eastbound 202 to Gulf Mills, Jam Blue Ridge to Belmont, again to Boulevard through Spring Garden, westbound heavy from Broad to Passyunk through construction. Busy again, Boulevard to Belmont, again around the curve. Looking at the Boulevard, southbound 9th Street down to Fox, Jam through construction there. Southbound 95, heavy Cotman right through Girard. Again, Walt Whitman to Broad Street, accident still there being worked on. 55 north, that remains jammed from Deptford in the 42. 42 northbound 168 through 295, busy. There's nothing that'll scare your date away faster than bad breath. Luckily, Smart Mouth mouthwash has got your back for 24 full hours with 2 rinses a day. Find Smart Mouth in the mouthwash aisle at CVS or visit smartmouth.com to find the retailer near you. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now,
a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly.
Good morning. Tuesday bringing with it heat, humidity, and today we're talking storms in the afternoon. Our forecast high 91 degrees, but high humidity is expected, making it feel more like the mid-90s. Those afternoon storms past noon, 1 o'clock, but a better chance as we get mid-afternoon right on into this evening. 72 for the forecast low. We'll start dry on Wednesday at 90 for the forecast high, but in the afternoon, more storms are likely. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD as we continue our conversation about policing in Philadelphia. Joining us now is Mary Catherine Roper. She is the Deputy Legal Director at the ACLU of Pennsylvania, where she coordinates litigation on a broad range of civil liberties issues. She joins us to discuss a new order to end racial bias in Philadelphia's stop and frisk policy. Mary, good morning. Good morning. I can't hear her.
So sorry about that. I had myself on mute, so I didn't talk over you.
How you doing?
I'm just great. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. So lay out for us what the problem was with the stop and frisk policy in Philadelphia for a number of years.
Right. So I'm really, really excited. This is a big new deal. For 10 years, we've been talking about the stop and frisk policies in Philadelphia. When we started, it was under Mayor Nutter. Stops of pedestrians were sky high. Less than half of them even tried to have legal justification for them, and there were terrible racial disparities in the stops. And over the years, we've had a lot of action, some of it ordered by the court, some of it agreed to by the city, to get the number of stops down and to make sure that officers know the law and are at least say that they have a legal justification for the stop. But what we never had before is an order designed to address exactly the racial disparities. In other words, who is getting targeted for stops, not because of what they're doing, but because of who they are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how is that going to play out? Because I know that there are some changes that are supposed to be coming down in the district where I live, the 14th district here in the city of Philadelphia. How exactly are these changes supposed to play out? What does this new order say?
Well, it says a whole bunch of things. Actually, there's several moves that have to be taken. Some of them require citywide for the city to develop a way to look at the stop data and look for patterns of racial disparities and racial bias, and then they have to act on that with the individual officers and with the commanders. That's going to be really, really important. For the first time, they're going to be accountability officers who are specifically tasked. It is their job, and their job only, their only job, to make sure that the directives and the court orders about stop and frisk are being followed. But in the 14th district, there's something really special. You're right, which is it is the first district in which we are going to see a court-ordered rollback on stops for petty offenses, the smallest things that you can call crimes, being in a park after curfew, jaywalking, smoking dope outside, the kinds of things, obstructing the sidewalk, the kinds of things that most of us do not even consider crimes and certainly should not subject you to 20 minutes with a police officer running your number, running to see if you have a warrant and asking you questions and maybe frisking you, certainly detaining you. That is supposed to stop, at least initially. It isn't that police officers won't react to these kinds of crimes, because some of them are things that neighbors do get upset about, but the officer is supposed to come up to you and say, would you stop that? Would you move along? And you're free to leave. They don't take your name. They don't ask for your ID. As long as you leave, there is no further interaction with law enforcement. That is the goal. And the reason for this is that these petty crime stops make up almost half of the stops that our officers conduct. Not more serious crimes, but these, like this penny ante stuff, is almost half of what the officers are doing. And I don't think it'll surprise you, the people who are subjected to these kinds of stops are overwhelmingly black.
Well, yeah. I guess as a homeowner in Philadelphia, right, one of the things that we've experienced over the years, we have a driveway that runs along the back of our homes, and all of the neighbors kind of take responsibility for that driveway because it's common property. And one of the things that we've had problems with is people coming in the back of our houses and smoking weed or smoking other stuff. They've brought prostitutes back there. I've had to personally go up to people, step to them like, yo, you got to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, it's an issue. And quite frankly, like I want cops to come back there and be like, yo, y'all got to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Got to leave.
What you want as a homeowner, as a resident, you want that behavior to be interrupted. You want those people to leave. And that is what is going to happen. But without the next thing, which is they're in cuffs, they're being checked for a warrant, maybe they're under arrest, it's just the first step. This is the idea. The police should stop that kind of behavior, but it shouldn't turn into someone being pulled into the criminal justice system.
Maybe. I'm just being real. And I think as I've gotten older and seen these people doing this stuff with my kids back there, that's a bigger issue for me. If you don't have enough respect for our children, to do that someplace else, then, maybe we need to run your name and see what else you doing. But, I think that, if it's, if it's something that obviously does not deserve, all of that, certainly I think you're right. I remember coming up and being a kid and, the cops, they caught you drinking a 40, they would just take it. You know what I mean? They caught you smoking some weed, they would take it and throw it on the ground. Okay, move along. But I think that over the years it has become this kind of thing where people have been caught up, in the system when they don't necessarily need to be. And I think, it's a matter of judgment. I do. I think it's a judgment call because, sometimes it could be something more serious than what it looks like. My wife saw a guy back there counting all his money in our driveway.
Sure.
What are you doing?
And that is something that you can ask the police to investigate, something the police are going to investigate. And by the way, the thing that you're talking about with the same people coming back over and over and over again, that is an exception. When the officers see the same people over and over again in the same place doing the same thing, that's when they can escalate it. This is supposed to be designed to protect the residents, interrupt the bad behavior, but not continue this sort of free-for-all of police stopping and questioning, honestly, black men.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so has this kind of, interruption, has this been tried in other places? What have been the results as we've seen this? Because I think there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance between, look, you don't harass people and you actually, protect the residents, serve those who are paying taxes and going to work and doing the right thing, which is the vast majority of people anyway. So has this been tried in other places, and what have been the results?
Well, it's been tried in other places. We don't really have a lot of results, which is why we're starting with a pilot, right? It's going to start first in the 14th district, and then it gets studied. It gets studied both in terms of what good it did, in terms of hopefully driving down the racial disparities in who is being stopped, but also in terms of did it have bad consequences? And then we can tweak the program. The idea is to start it small so that we can see what happens, because whatever happened elsewhere, I mean, there's in other places there's no increase in crime or something, those kinds of results. But that doesn't tell you what's going to happen in Philly. We need to see what's going to happen in Philly. And that's why it starts small, and we're going to be studying it and tweaking it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And so in terms of what we've seen with the disparity in stops, what has been the outcome from that? You talked about people being pulled into the criminal justice system. What's the result of the disparity, the racial disparity in the stop and frisk policies in Philadelphia?
Well, I mean, the first and most basic disparity is that my experience walking around the streets of Philadelphia is entirely different from your experience walking around the streets of Philadelphia, right? Mm-hmm. We have two different Philadelphias. The white people walk around one Philadelphia, the black people walk around a different Philadelphia. And they are the same streets, but it is a different experience for different people. And that just fundamentally is wrong. And that needs to change. And that's the most basic thing I can tell you, is that is the result of this racial disparity, and that is what we want to change, is we don't want two different Philadelphias depending on the color of your skin.
Yeah.
The other thing is, of course, people if they're stopped, then the police say they see, quote-unquote, a bulge in the pocket, and they're reaching in the pocket, and maybe it's a small amount of weed, maybe it's something else, right? And you got people pulled in the criminal justice system who really weren't doing much.
Yeah, and so you also talk about some training that is going to happen, and of course data collection. What kind of training is going to happen around stop and frisk policies in Philadelphia?
Well, first of all, the officers who are going to be involved in this pilot program need to be trained to conduct a different kind of interaction with folks where it isn't a stop. Police officers already exercise this kind of discretion. You know that. You've seen it. It's not just you when you were a kid, but officers decide when they tell somebody to put away the open container versus when they decide to actually take all the legal steps that they can with that. And it's training officers to have a different approach, one that is interrupting the offense and not immediately going to the higher levels of legal involvement. There also will continue to be training on racial bias, what that looks like. Everybody says, well, I'm not racially biased. I had a reason for doing that, had nothing to do with the person's skin color. But maybe when you sit down with that officer and says, okay, let's look at your last 50 stops.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at how many of them were of black people and what kinds of things you're stopping black people for. And maybe you only notice when it's black people smoking pot, right? or that's the kind of conversations that have to happen. They have to happen on an individual level. They have to happen on the supervisor and command level. You got to sit down with a lieutenant in charge of a police service area and say, why is it that your stops are so disproportionately focused on black people? We need to understand this. We need to see what's going on, and maybe you need to retrain and redirect your officers as to what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. So the data is going to be collected. At what point will the data be analyzed to see, what the outcome is of the change, or will it be an ongoing analysis?
Well, some of the analysis is going to be ongoing. As I said, there are going to be these new accountability officers. They should be looking at the data in real time so that if they see really distinct patterns, they can interrupt those patterns of racial bias right away. But then we're going to, after about 3 months, collect all the data from sort of the petty crimes pilot and look at it and look at, not only what it meant in terms of what police officers did, how they spent their time, whether it has any effect on crime, whether it has any effect on whether police officers solve other kinds of crime. All of that stuff will be analyzed after about 3 months. But some of this is ongoing. That's the whole point of the accountability officers. Someone's actually going to be looking at this stuff in real time.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's Mary Catherine Roper. She's the Deputy Legal Director at the ACLU of Pennsylvania, where she coordinates litigation on a broad range of civil liberties issues. She joined us to talk about a new order to end racial bias with Philadelphia's stop and frisk policy. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you.
All right. And want to remind you that you heard it here first. We're back outside for the first time since the pandemic. Join us on Friday, June 11th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Fresh Grocer on Monument Road for our Reawaken, Reopen, and Renew event, where you can join or renew your WURD membership for the discounted early bird rate of $75. For more information, go to wordradio.com. We look forward to seeing you on Friday. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
Welcome, Black.
It's time to reawaken, reopen, and renew as WURD kicks off our annual WURD Early Bird Membership Special. We've stood together every step of the way during the pandemic. Here at WURD, our hosts and producers, elders, parents, children, teachers, doctors, and community leaders stood up, shared resources, and supported each other through the airwaves, virtual events, and of course, the phone lines. We've stayed connected by every means necessary. Let's welcome the new season, the reopening of the city, and our new normal together. Stand with WURD. Join us Friday, June 11th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for our first In the Community broadcast in over a year as we broadcast live from Fresh Grocer, 4160 Monument Road. It's WURD Radio back in the community. Start or renew your sustaining WURD membership for the special discounted price of $75. Or if you just want to support the work we're doing, there is now an option to become a digital WURD member for as little as $5 per month. Visit wordradio.com/earlybird between now and June 19th to take advantage of our early bird discounted membership special. It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones, right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. And a number of things happening today. There was an internet outage a little bit earlier. It appears to have been fixed, but some major websites were down this morning because of a problem with a cloud service. And it just made me think about how much we depend on this technology, man. Are we at the point where we depend too much on this technology? And so I want to know what you think about that. Also, there was a report that came out, a Senate report that has come out about the January 6th insurrection. And other than quotes directly from witness testimony, they do not use the word insurrection. That's number one. The other thing that they did is they omitted the role of Donald Trump. How do you not say that the reason that the people were there in the first place is because the president called them there for a rally? Like, how do you omit the role of Donald Trump, who gathered the people there in the first place, spent a lot of money on ads to draw people there, talked constantly about people coming there, and then when he got them there, incited them to riot. When he got them there, said, we're going to go down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, right? And immediately went in the White House and watched the whole thing on TV, right? How do you omit the role of the person who told the lie repeatedly that caused them to riot in the first place? How do you omit the role of the person who told them that it's all up to Mike Pence, had the people going down there talking about hang Mike Pence? How do you omit his role? That's not even a report. So it's everybody else's fault. It's the fault of the people who responded to what he did, to what he put in motion, to what he started, to what he incited. It's everybody else's fault but his. How do you not talk about his role? Like, just stop. Just don't even do it. Why even put out a report in the first place? I want to know what you guys think. You give me a call. Maybe I'm the one who's crazy. You give me a call. Let me know. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. That's why all this bipartisan, we got to be bipartisan, meaning two parties working together. Y'all ain't working together, so stop trying to even pretend. They not trying to work with you. So stop it. Just do what you got to do on your own. Tell the truth, man, and let the chips fall where they may. If working with them means that you lie by omitting the role of Donald Trump, then don't work with them. I mean, that really is the bottom line for me. Why are you working with people who are saying that in order for us to do this, in order for us to be a part of it, we have to lie? We have to act like Donald Trump didn't bring these people together in the first place. We have to act like, he didn't incite this riot. We have to act like it's not an insurrection. It's not a rebellion. It's not an attempt to overthrow the government. We have to act like it's none of that and just act like it's just something that just happened. Come on, man. I can't work with you. If you want me to lie, I can't work with you, man. I want to hear from you. You give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Jacob from Alney's on line one. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, peace be unto you, Brother Solomon. Hey, look, like the Four Tops say, I try not to call, but I just can't help myself, man, when I listen, Look, first of all, I like that Blues Brothers analogy. We got to get the band back together. Yeah. Being a Muslim, I like what you said about what that one cop said, that all Muslims, Solomon, just what you're saying. Look, imagine this, Solomon. Now, just check this out. That report. If Black Lives Matter did the same insurrection that these white Proud Boys did, right? And Minister Farrakhan called them to Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would leave they would leave that out of the report. They would, you know, see, this is what we talk about, Solomon. Now check this out. Why is as Mike Tyson would say, this is totally ludicrous that we got to keep fighting the same fight, right? Imagine this, Solomon. I'm a black officer that posted up that I think all white people are evil devils that need to be killed, right? Now, what white community would feel safe with me in it?
Right.
Right? Now, that's it. But when it comes to them, you know, we're supposed to be all right with this crap. You know, what is a no-brainer to white people, they want us to accept and be all right with. What is wrong with them, man? I ain't saying all of them, but too many of them. At least, 50 million or so? Man, I'm telling you, if I didn't see this, Solomon, if I read it in the book, I would think it was fiction. Okay? But, man, look, get the band back together. I'm in the shed. Well, you know, I used to play music, and a couple of times when I wanted to get back into it, I left for a few years. I would get in that wood shed and get my chops up. But then there were times where I got a gig. Look, I told my chops, you in shape because you need this gig. You know? But I'm ready to go, brother.
All right.
Call the band back together. I'm there.
All right, I hear you, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Brother Michael from Columbus, Ohio on line 2. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Brother Solomon.
Good morning.
You know, when I think about this report, I just think about the state of where we're at in this continuing struggle with our children and our community specifically. If, you know, this country is going to try to paint a picture that something like this didn't exist, it's the same, Solomon, as this continuing entertainment of violence that they hand our children through, for example, the NBA. I love the basketball game. And the commercials, I'm sitting there with my 13-year-old grandson, and then they have this commercial of these movies upcoming with all this killing and these guns. You know, as long as all this type of stuff is sanctioned, these video games with this violence and all that, as long as this kind of stuff is making money, then yeah, they'll continue to have stuff like this insurrection and paint this picture. And the people that they continue to be victimized are our children and their mind frame. And they just don't have a chance with this America and the way that it is. And it's very, very unfortunate. And that's all I wanted to share with you.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Sean from Houston is on line 3. Go ahead.
Good morning, brother.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. I start my mornings with you over a cup of coffee. Hey, look.
Thank you, man.
Quick question. You don't really think they're going to prosecute these people to the full extent of the law, do you?
No, I really don't.
As you once said, come on, man. They already started on the system to accommodate them. These people are going to end up with misdemeanors, minor offenses. Okay? Now, when you have all this facial recognition where they can pick somebody out 50 feet away in the dark and they nail him to the wall for whatever crime he's alleged to commit, but then here you have guys and women walking through the Capitol building, open face, armed, unlawfully entering, and will walk on water. I guarantee you, no one would do over 10 years. If they do the 10, they'll do it under probation, minor fines, a slap on the hand, and a pat on the back, i.e. through Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think the main people who could get serious time are the people who assaulted, not Officer Sicknick, who they claim died from natural causes, which is nonsense. But the people who assaulted a cop named Michael Fanone. Michael Fanone was the guy that they beat on the steps. They took his taser. They said shoot him with his own gun. You know, they beat him to the point where he had a mild heart attack. You know, he just, damaged. So I think that those people are going to do some serious time. Now, you know, really, I think that an equal crime is actually breaking into the Capitol and going through people's offices. We don't know what y'all took. We don't know who you were working for. We don't know if y'all working for the Russians. Like, you know, so that's beyond, that's a different kind of violence, and it's a serious crime, and people should be doing serious time for that. But to your point, you know, they might not.
Okay, you say might, I say will not.
Okay.
These people gonna be treated as rambunctious white folks stepping up for their country, and they were overzealous. Okay, just like the white boy that was acquitted, well, not acquitted, reduced. Maybe it was acquitted. I can't remember. The one that was did the drunk driving and killed his friends in the car, and he alleged it was wealthy influencer or whatever they call it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then when they put him on probation, what happened? Him and his mama fled the country, jumped the border, right?
Affluenza, that's what they called it. Affluenza.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know what the cure for affluenza was? I sat there and laughed. You know what the cure for affluenza is? Time. Put him behind bars. Let the doors slam behind him. That's a cure for anything. And if
How
not,
about
you'll
that?
be that.
How about that?
What true life is.
No, you're right, Sean. And I want to thank you for listening all the way from Houston, Texas, man. We appreciate you. And thank you so much. Let's go to Maurice from Southwest Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Maurice.
Hey, Solomon, I heard you earlier talking about the police officers getting their jobs back. Well, you know, all cops, they have a pamphlet that they get. It's called a Code of Ethics, Conduct of an Officer. And I don't understand how these officers, even through arbitration, are getting their jobs back when they go by that code. Because I know when I was training to be a correctional officer, we had to go to law enforcement school, and the cops also got that book too. So I mean, I just see many violations being broken, and also when a cop gets fired from another police institution, I mean, if I'm selling shoes and I steal shoes, my record is sent all over the country. So, well, I mean, how is a cop going somewhere else, putting down he used to be a cop, and they don't see what his record from being fired from another place doesn't come up? How is that even possible? So, you know, a lot of funny stuff is going on here, and we're going to have to find a way to figure out, you know, maybe it's a class action suit against maybe the Philadelphia, the police department, or against the union, or against the arbitration, to find out what kind of laws are they following that they're not following everybody else's laws. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to state on, I hear that the clergy keeps asking for this $100 million. Now, I'm down. If they got a solution, they can get $300 million. But what I'm saying is, if it don't include summer jobs and job training, what is the plan for that money? Do you know anything about it?
No. Well, I think that in terms of what they want to do, I think it's several things they want to do. They want to focus on kids. They want to focus on the schools where a lot of people have frankly died from gun violence. It's supposed to be about 25 schools across the city. They want to focus on treatment, and they want to focus on violence interrupters. But I think you're right. I think that any solution has to concern jobs. That's why we do what we do, man. That's why we started, you know, to listen to the streets thing that we do, because I believe that these folks need jobs. You know, now there's some obstacles to that, because, you know, for some folks, you know, they're in the position that they're in because they haven't learned how to you know, be at a place on time and do the work, and you know, so there's some kind of hand holding that you kind of got to do with some folks in order to get them in a position where they're ready for that. But I think that jobs absolutely have to be part of the solution. People need jobs, man.
Well, that's why when I keep asking about programs, about does the city have plans for a big summer job program for the kids, especially with this hot summer coming, I don't hear any answers.
Well, actually, the city is hiring for lifeguards, and I'm glad you reminded me of that, and I want to thank you for your call. The city is hiring for lifeguards, and I'm going to talk about that on the other side of this break, because I did get a message from my pastor, Pastor Larry Anderson, about Parks and Recreation still looking for lifeguards, $16 an hour. For the summer. We're going to talk about that on the other side, along with taking your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
From safe to seamless, convenient to contactless, and local to express, SEPTA is the Philly way to go. Plan your trip at iseptaphilly.com.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That with me live this weekend, or catch the show wherever you listen to podcasts. On our very special Juneteenth episode, we're talking to Griot Marsha Music, writer Baratunde Thurston, and image activist Michaela Angela Davis. More Than That is brought to you by General Motors. Visit gm.com to learn more about their actions and commitment to becoming one of the most inclusive companies in the world. Everybody in.
Juneteenth is in each generation. And that's why it's very important for us to embrace our entire families, our history, our legacy, and it's all about love. We are people of joy. No matter what, we still have joy.
That is a revolution right there. Like, Black joy and leisure is a revolution. And I don't even see it as resistance. It's more inheritance, like stepping into what we deserve. Because, we've been resisting and fighting forever. I want to expand our liberation. How this movement is different than, say, even the movement that I saw in the 70s was this notion of we have to take care of ourselves as well. That, like, support, joy, juicy, good feelings, like, that's a revolution to me.
We're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be ourselves here. We're not supposed to speak our language here. We're not supposed to express our spirit and our joy here. So when I smile in this existence and I breathe now, it's because a whole bunch of other people made that possible. And I am proud that I exist as a testament to that I can enjoy. So proud of us.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Independent Black Media.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. Roxanne Jones will join us next week. She's traveling this week, and so she'll join us next week, and we certainly look forward to that. And, Maurice brought up city jobs, summer jobs, and Maurice is right about that. I think he's dead on. Folks need jobs, but I would argue not just summer jobs. People need all year-round jobs, and that would put a dent in some of this violence. It has to be about that, but it also has to be about preparing people to work. people who've been through trauma, people who've been through prison, people who've been through probation and parole, people who come from broken homes, people who live in environments where they are constantly on edge. Like, you know, people have some stuff, man, that they have been through to get to the point where they are victims or perpetrators of violence. And so there has to be some preparation around even preparing them to work. But at the end of the day, you know, folks need employment, man. They need employment. And so one of the things that's happening this summer is that Parks and Recreation still looking for lifeguards for the city pools, and it pays $16 an hour. And folks can be trained for that job. And so we'll look for the link for where people can go for that. But certainly they are still hiring for lifeguards. And so that is one of the jobs that is available. We want to hear from you. You give us a call, 215-634-8065. Of course, WURD has its livelihood initiative. You can go to our website to learn more about that, where some jobs are available as well. And of course, you know, through Man Up PHL and our program, our next cohort, by the way, for Listening to the Streets starts on June 21st, ends July 1st. We are looking for young brothers who fall within a demographic that is affected most by gun violence, young black men, right? If you have a criminal record, if you have had some gun charges or drug charges or whatever, you know, that is not a deterrent. In fact, we want to talk to you. And so if you know young men who could go either way, but who want to go in a different direction, give us a call. 267-748-7818 is the number, or you can email info@manupphl.org as we prepare to start that next cohort in 2 weeks on June 21st. Of course, we paid the young men a stipend during that cohort, and we also guarantee them a job offer if they complete all of the sessions that we have. And so we look forward to starting that, because, you know, at the end of the day, man, if we are not actually doing anything for these young people, right, other than telling them what they need to do, why should they even be bothered with listening to us? If we're not listening to them, let's start with that. Why should they listen to us? For real. You know, everybody got all these ideas. Ain't nobody talk to them, right? Everybody got, oh, this is what we need to do, and this is what we need to do, and this is what we need to do. Well, you don't even know what's going on. You know, so we need to be talking to them, and I'm excited about what we've done so far through this program. We've gotten some young men into employment. We've gotten some young men some therapy. We have been just doing great work, and it's thanks to the people who have committed to really stepping into the lives of these young men and trying to make a difference, man. I'm proud of our folk. I want to hear from you. You give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. Let's go to Olanian from Nicetown on line 2. Go ahead, Olanian.
Good morning. I want to go back a little to the conversation you had about the arbitrators, and I want to ask two questions. One is the question I'm not supposed to ask. Were there any black officers who were in that arbitration? In other words, were any of them accused of putting Facebook ads or advertisements that were naughty? And my second question is, were there any black arbitrators? We need better arbitrators. If they think that those police officers are innocent, Well, we need better judges or better arbitrators.
There were black officers who were among those who were accused, not accused, who put, offensive posts online. Yes, there were. I don't know if any of the ones who got fired were black, but I do know that there were black officers who were caught up in that Plainview project and who put offensive posts on Facebook. Yes.
Sometimes equality doesn't work for us. If we're going to do the same kind of crime, I mean, wow. All right, thanks for telling me that.
Mm-hmm. What else? You said you had two.
Well, that's basically it. I want to know, was the arbitrator, is he or they black, white, or what?
We don't know. I don't know who the arbitrators are now from what I could see, because I was supposed to be a witness in one of the arbitration hearings. They called it off literally the day of. I did see that the arbitrator and the lawyer and everybody in the room, quite frankly, was white. I think we're dealing with folks, but we don't know who they are. But the arbitrators, we do know that they're white. Now we need to know a little bit more about them than that, and that's part of the issue, is that the process is not transparent. We don't know who the arbitrators are, and that's the problem.
Yeah, that very much is. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Jay from Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Jay.
Hi, good morning, Solomon. Thanks for taking my call. Yesterday, I heard you say on the radio that you had your colonoscopy.
I did.
Can you tell me where you went to and your doctor's name?
I think it's Hillman Associates. I don't remember the doctor's name.
Oh, it's not.
But
a
I think it's
hospital?
Hillman Associates. No, they specialize in colonoscopies, and I think they're in Flourtown.
Oh, okay. Because I'm looking through where I gotta find somewhere to go. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, and I appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Margaret from Southwest on line 1. Go ahead, Margaret.
Solomon, well, I'm trying to evaluate the situations of arbitration in the two incidents that I've dealt with, and they were all white people in the room. But Solomon, when there is a situation and you bring it to the police station's attention, they take you upstairs and a group of people come and question you. Then you go to the arbitrators. Did you know this?
I have no idea what you mean. Wait a minute. When you bring a situation to the police station, they take you upstairs and then you go to the arbitrators. Like arbitration is normally something that happens in place of a legal process. So, for instance, if you get all right, well, with the police officers, they get fired from their job. Rather than going to a lawsuit to try to get their jobs back, both parties have agreed in advance that if something like this happens, we'll go to arbitrations and we'll let this arbitrator settle it rather than going the lawsuit route. Sometimes that's the case with insurance cases. You agree that you will go to an arbitrator. This is something you've previously agreed to. We'll go to an arbitrator to settle our differences rather than going through court. So I'm not sure what you mean about, going to the police station and then you go to an arbitrator.
Before you go to the arbitration, there is a group of people that comes in between the arbitrator and the incident, and they discuss the situation with you, you're bringing to the precinct or from the community about what has happened, and they evaluate that and prepare whatever situation it is. Then the case is heard or set up.
But what kind of case are you talking about? Give me an example.
I had an incident where in the community, and I was a community representative, and the police officer was involved with some maneuvering in that community, and I brought it to the police captain's attention, and he told me, hold on, because there is a group of someone need to talk with you, and they took me upstairs, and I'm sitting up there, and about 6 people, men, come upstairs, and they're questioning me prior to what I know about this police officer and the community, and what's going on in that area. And I explained to them what was going on, and I thought that he might have been involved with even guns. And after that, it was funny. They just got up and walked out. And I'm like, well, who are they? But then the issue went to court a while later. So there is, the police officers are sneaky. There's somebody in between there preparing stuff.
All right, Ms. Margaret, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Minister Tracy from North Philly on line 2. Go ahead.
Good morning. It's always a privilege, Solomon.
Thank you.
You know, I'm calling because, like, you know, we getting ready. City Council is trying to ask for money to get guns off the street. But, you know, I just think that the mayor should do a curfew, or he should, you know, call back the National Guard to clean up Frankfurt and Kensington. Like, them areas is just weird. It's just pulling in a lot of violence in Southwest Philly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that all the kids just getting up buying guns, shooting everybody. You know what I mean? I believe that, you know, they role models have changed, and that they get caught up in something that they really don't know nothing about. You know what I mean? And as we have been doing an investigation around the city about the youth being killed, it's always because, you know, they at the hands of drug dealers. You know what I mean? And they didn't bring the right money or something like that, and then it ends up into gunfire. But really, it's just, you know, the police have been going through so much with the, you know, the killings and all that stuff. And this is how you get distracted from what the main thing is, and it's safety for everyone. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that all police officers are bad, but you know, it's some that still, you know, follow the rules. And like, who want to be packed first? That's going to start a whole lot of stuff, and a whole lot of doors is going to be open for violence, because, you know, it puts everybody in danger. You know, I just think that we need a curfew, and we need a plan at night, you know, to have the police doing.
Yeah, but people getting shot in broad daylight. I don't think it's about a curfew. I just got to be honest with you. People are being shot in broad daylight. It's not like they only do it in certain hours, or, you know, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, but also, you know, even in the daytime, you're right, it is a lot of shooting, you know, broad daylight. But I believe that they need to just get the people off the corner that, you know, and like I remember back in the day when they had Germantown in Indiana, they was doing something on Hutchinson Street where if you didn't live on a block and you couldn't show the ID, it wasn't no loitering and stuff. You know what I mean? And maybe they need to get back to that. You know, you don't belong in this neighborhood, you know, live in this neighborhood, you don't have no ID for this neighborhood, then you shouldn't be in.
Yeah, I hear you. And you talking about major drug dealing corners now. You talking about,
right,
you know, Germantown, Indiana, Hutchinson Street. Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. Jerry from West Philly is on line 1. Go ahead, Jerry.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, the caller that you had about getting her colonoscopy, I was going to suggest that she talk to her doctor, because not only does she want to get that done, she also want to get a breast examination. So that sort of got to me, and I said, let me call in. But your personal doctor usually will sign you. If you don't have a personal doctor, go to one of those health clinics. Thank you. A health clinic, I just remember, a health clinic in your neighborhood, and they will also take care of you also. A lot of people don't use them. The health centers are right in our community, and a lot of them charge less than what the doctors are charging. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say, and you have a blessed day.
All right, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. And if you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And you can also weigh in on Facebook at forward. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. And let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. FORWURD is where you can weigh in on Facebook. Kawhi, so what are people saying on Facebook?
So we do have a few comments here, so I'm just going to kind of roll through them. I did post the link for the lifeguard jobs in the feed, so if people are checking that out, just wanted to let you know about that. Zen Motley says, good morning, blessed word family, stay safe and masked up. It's time for us to do something for us, by us, do that and learn. So that's a comment that we have here. And then also Sharon Lane is saying good morning to us. And then also Deborah Dorn Carter says here, I'm in agreement with you, Solomon. I still have my landline. I'm a baby boomer. We didn't have all this technology. I believe it is taken for granted. Also, the U.S. Senate, in my opinion, is upholding what happened on January 6th. I don't think the Senate has any regards for the people of this country who they are supposed to represent. They're too busy kissing 45's butt. I'm telling you, he has put the fear of God in the Republican Senate. So that is another comment that we have here as well. Karen Asper Jordan, good morning to you. She's saying Manchin is a Dixiecrat. So that's another comment that we also have. And then just sliding through, Joey Dixon, good morning to you, jazz to you. Camden High says reinstating cops with back pay is no more than a vacation. Nothing about rewarding bad cops will make this better. There should be no back pay. So that's his feelings on that. And then also I did see some folks over on the YouTube side here. Deb Batron says good morning to both you and I, Solomon. And then also Joanne Kemp says, yes, too dependent on technology. I worked in a hospital. When the computers went down, they suffered. It's important to remember the old school way of getting tasks done. And then we also have here birthday girl living life says good morning, Word family. And then also says, she says, Solomon, can't you put in a request for money to help with the Man Up program? And I know you guys have a donation option on the website as well. Yep. So, if you go to manupPHL.org, is that right? Yep. Awesome. Look at me remembering off the top of my head. But yep, manupPHL.org. Go right to the website and you can check out that when you go and take a look. Carlos Jackson, good morning to you. And then also Alicia Lomax says, this is awesome. And then Gary Thomas says, get the band back together. So that's another comment that we have as well. Yep, those are our comments.
All right, so we're going to go to break. And on the other side, we're going to talk about Juneteenth. Yep, the celebration is coming up. Ali Saludeen is going to be joining us on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
In Philadelphia, everyone is reading Jericho Brown's The Tradition, the 2020 Pulitzer Prize winner in poetry, in this year's Free Library One Book, One Philadelphia featured selection. The Free Library will celebrate 8 inspired weeks of programming with a free virtual grand finale on June 9th at 7:30 p.m. The event will include a reading and conversation with Jericho Brown and poet Ursula Rucker, followed by an intergenerational panel of artists, activists, and community leaders, including poet Sonia Sanchez and others. Details at freelibrary.org/one book.
The Black Words Book Club.
Word Radio's conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The next book for June is Taught by Women, Poems as Resistance Language by Hakeem Adabuti. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it, Tuesday, June 8th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for Word members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color. You're waking up
with Word,
hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I'm going to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. And Juneteenth is coming up, and we have a celebration that happens here in the city of Philadelphia. Joining us to talk about it is Ali Salahuddin. He's the Juneteenth Philly co-founder and general manager. Good morning, brother. How are you?
How are you, Solomon?
I'm doing well. So tell us what's in store for Juneteenth this year.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show this morning.
You're welcome.
I can share this information with your audience. This year, because of the COVID restrictions, we've scaled down what we would normally do. So this year we're having a march on June 19th at 9:30 a.m. We're assembling at 52nd and Haverford, and we'll be marching in support of making the Juneteenth a national federal holiday. So we'll start at 9:30 at 52nd and Haverford, right in front of the Spectrum Health Center. WURD will be broadcasting live. 6ABC will be taping. We have some speakers at 52nd and Haverford for about a half an hour. And then we will march down 52nd Street to Malcolm X Park, where in the park it would feature an art exhibit of about 100 100 paintings from local artists here in the city of Philadelphia, vendors, and also a food giveaway.
That sounds nice, man. So, I think in order for us to understand why we should participate in Juneteenth, we have to understand why Juneteenth exists in the first place. So kind of walk us through that history, man.
Well, Juneteenth came about in 1865, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, when the Union Army went into Galveston, Texas, and announced to the 200 to 250,000 enslaved Africans there that they were free. And this was after, this was 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So what they did to memorialize that or to honor that, and they had a big celebration, and they called the celebration Juneteenth. And what they would do is, basically throughout the Southwest, is that every year on June 19th, they would go to a designated area in their town, and they had places called like Emancipation Square, Freedom Plaza, Liberty Park, places like that, and they would have a big celebration. But it wasn't just celebratory. What they would do is that they would highlight the achievement of various people and various institutions in their community from one year to the next. So if a person learned how to read, from the previous year, they would highlight that. If a young person, started school, they would highlight that. If a community built a church or built a business, in other words, they would highlight all of the positive things that happened in the community from one year to the next. And so that started in 1865, and it's been actually going on ever since then, mainly in the Southwest. But now, over the last, I would say probably about maybe 10 or 15 years, it has started to make its way to the South and up to the East Coast. And so now, in addition to the legislation that has been put forth by Kamala Harris in Washington, D.C., Juneteenth has really caught on. And so now you got Juneteenth celebrations, really all over the country. And it must be, I know in Philadelphia, it has to be at least 15 or 20 locations that are celebrating Juneteenth. With our organization, the Pennsylvania Juneteenth Coalition, in 2019, we hosted the largest Juneteenth celebration in the country. I think, and I know, Solomon, you were there because you were broadcasting. And our celebration takes place in West Philadelphia. We had a parade and festival, and we drew over 25,000 people to that event. And I think we had an economic impact of about $500,000 to the West Philadelphia community.
Well, I think that's beautiful, man, and love the celebration. I have been there, and to your point, I've been broadcasting there, and so I love that celebration. I think it's just another one of the positive and loving things that we do in our community, man. So, how can people learn more about the Juneteenth celebration this year?
Well, what they should do is go to our website at JuneteenthPhilly.org. That's JuneteenthPhilly.org, or they can call 215-247-1545, 215-247-1545. So we're just encouraging everyone to be at 52nd and Haverford at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday, June 19th. A lot of the WURD celebrities will be in the audience. You'll get a chance to, meet your favorite hosts. And we don't want you to meet us there. We want you to beat us there.
I know that's right. I know that's right. That's Ali Salahuddin. He is the Juneteenth Philly co-founder and general manager. He joined us to talk about what's in store for Juneteenth this year and the Freedom Day March. Give people a number one more time where they can call to learn more.
215-247-1545. 215-247-1545.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD. Certainly appreciate it. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook and let us know your opinion on the various things we're talking about, including this report that has come out from the Senate. A bipartisan committee. Bipartisan just means it's people from both parties, right? So in order for this report, I guess, to be bipartisan, the Republicans say, well, we ain't going to say nothing about Trump, right? Not only that, other than direct quotes from witnesses, we are not going to call this an insurrection. Well, what was it? Because what I watched was a group of overwhelmingly white people, thousands of them, wearing Trump regalia, trying to overturn the results of a free and fair election through violence. What is that? That's not an insurrection. So when they come and they bring gallows, right? For those who don't know, gallows, that's the setup that you put up to hang somebody. That's what a gallows is, right? So they put up gallows. They brought the gallows with them, with the noose, shouting, "Hang Mike Pence," right? Once they were able to beat down the officers and make their way into the Capitol, busting out windows, using chemical irritants, throwing flashbang grenades, spraying smoke, right? Once they were able to do all of that with weapons, right, they then went into the Capitol and were actively looking for members of Congress to harm. One dude was in there like calling Nancy Pelosi. Where are you, Nancy? They went into congressional offices and stole equipment and documents, right? And their whole goal was to stop the certification of the election of Joe Biden, who won the election by more than 7 million votes. That's not an insurrection? Well, what is it? Now some of the Republican lawmakers have said, it was just like a tour of the Capitol. They were just there to tour the Capitol. No, that's what they was doing when y'all was taking them through the Capitol, showing them where everything was. That was the tour. That was the reconnaissance. That was you sending spies into the land. That's what that was, right? But no, what we saw on January 6th was an actual insurrection. It was actually an attempt to overturn the will of the people and to harm people who would stand in their way who were part of the government. is that not an insurrection? That's not a rebellion. That's not none of that. What is it? So why even do the report? You know what I mean? Like, you know, Democrats got to stop, man. Stop trying to act like y'all nice. Y'all ain't nice. And stop trying to work with these people. They don't want to work with you. You know what I mean? Just stop. Just let's just be real for 1 minute. And stop allowing them to just lie and you standing there with them lying. You know what it remind me of? Remember when Kanye West, this is years ago, Hurricane Katrina, they were supposed to be doing a benefit for Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
And Kanye West was standing with Mike Myers. Kanye West said, George Bush does not care about black people, right? And Mike Myers wasn't with that. He ain't want to be part of that. But he's standing there with him, so he like, you know, he got the dumb look now. He's standing there with him while Kanye West is saying this. Now, I happen to agree with Kanye West and what he said, but Mike Myers did not. And so, you know, that's the Democrats. They standing there next to the Republicans while the Republicans are saying Donald Trump did not start this insurrection. And they standing there with the dumb look because now your name is on this report with them. You don't agree with that, but you just going along with it. Like, why? Why are you going along with that, man? Stop trying to work. They don't want to work with you. They want power. They want you out. And they're going to do everything that they can to make sure that it happens. I just, you know, they stop it, man. Stop with this. Oh, this is a bipartisan report. Stop trying to be bipartisan, man. They ain't trying to work with you. They not there to help you. They're there to harm you. Get that in your head and do what you got to do. I'm done.
Maybe, you know what the other part, though, is that's even more terrifying to admit is the fact that I guarantee you that there is a nice little handful of Democrats who really believe what the Republicans believe and don't care about us either. And that's the part that's, you know, like, we've been sitting here like, let's be real, because you know, black folks, and listen, I'm a Democrat. I'm saying I'm going to go today. I'm going to vote down the Democratic line, right? Because I know that the Republicans are much more detrimental to my health than the Democrats are. But I know that I personally feel like I'm sitting here looking at Democrats like feeling like Janet Jackson. Like, what have you done for me lately? Like, what have you done? And so, you know, that's the other part that we really got to start. Oh, and I hate to say it, but we got to start thinking about that too. Like, are y'all really working in my best interest? Because if you were, y'all wouldn't even be trying. Just like you said, why are you being bipartisan? You know that they're not working with you. And in fact, they haven't worked with you for decades now.
No. So stop. You know, and to your point, you know, there are absolutely Democrats who agree with Republicans on matters of race, on matters of finance, on matters of social status, on matters of class, on putting corporations before people. Joe Manchin, I'm looking at you. Kristen Sinema, I'm looking at you. You know, and even on the local level, there are some folks, you know, who call themselves Democrats, but really think more like Republicans, and you know, are part of a system that that has kept us in a deficit position. You know, y'all part of it. Y'all are part of it, and that's the problem. You know what I mean? And so that's why we have to really be, I think, working on our own behalf in our community. We got to learn how to work together, man. We got to learn how to work together, because it's too many folk that don't mean us any good. And then there are some folks in our midst, in the black community, who'll sell you out for 30 pieces of silver. Oh, y'all getting ready to do $100 million for gun violence? All right. You know what I mean? And no doggone well, y'all ain't trying to stop that problem. You know, it's too many people, man, I think, who don't necessarily care about what happens in our community. Some of them are black, some of them are Democrats, some of them look just like you. You know what I mean? And we have to call that out. And we have to understand that in order for us to advance, we have to first act in our own interests in order to make some change in our community. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to do what's trending, and then it is right back to your calls and your comments on Facebook and beyond. You can, of course, comment on Facebook at 4WURD, at FORWURD. That's FORWURD. And you can give us a call at 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD Radio. We'll be right back.
Olaniyan Adefume's goal is to assist families and students that are tired of the destructive input by the coronavirus. If you are interested in a math tutor, Olaniyan is offering small, reasonably priced classes that will focus on the PSSA test. Classes start June 21st. The students will have lessons, tests, homework, and a textbook to keep with PSSA exercises and explanations. Knowledge is power. Call Olaniyan Adefume, 215-678-3830 for pricing information and location.
AARP proudly presents a Black Music Maker moment. The Isley Brothers are one of the most loved musical groups of all time. Their hits began in 1959, and they've had new hits on the Billboard charts for 5 consecutive decades. The Isley Brothers have created a large lifetime legacy of black music, selling an estimated 30 million units worldwide.
Black joy comes from the sound of our souls, and our sound has kept the world in tune for decades. From the way we express ourselves naturally to the rhythm we add to the mix, black music is so powerful it inspires and influences the world. AARP is proud to celebrate black joy in all of its forms beyond Black Music Month. Visit aarp.org/black community to join the celebration.
Black Music Maker Moments, proudly presented by AARP.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD. Here's what's trending.
Yo, that's crazy.
On Wake Up with Word.
A day after Serena Williams was eliminated from the French Open, 17-year-old Coco Gauff showed the future in tennis for American women is bright. She said of her match, "I feel like this has been the most consistent tennis I've played at this level." Gauff said, "Hopefully I can keep that going."
And Snoop Dogg is joining Def Jam as an executive, creative, and strategic consultant. The newly created role for the iconic rapper will allow to strategically work across the label's executive team and artist roster. Acts signed to the label include Kanye West, Nas, Justin Bieber, Big Sean, Logic, Jadakiss, 2 Chainz, Jeezy, Bobby Sessions, and the late rapper DMX.
And Prince Harry apparently had to call the Queen for, quote, permission to name his daughter Lilibet. Lilibet is actually a nickname for the Queen. Harry reportedly still remains close to his grandmother despite his highly publicized exit from official royal duties. The name is, I just mentioned, a reference to his great-grandmother, Her Majesty the Queen's nickname, and her grandmother, the late Princess Diana. And that is what's trending.
All right, so that's what's trending right here on WURD Radio. We want to hear from you. You give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. You know what? Snoop is living his best life.
His best life. And I am not mad at him.
I know. Snoop is living his best life. The boy on commercials, walking on the beach, handing out beer. You know what I mean? Oh man, but he was so funny when he did the commentary on the Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fight. You didn't see that, did you, Kuwait?
I did see the commentary though, like afterwards. He is funny.
That's because he just got finished smoking a bag of weed.
I'm sure.
But he was hilarious, man. He was like, "Oh, look at my uncles fighting. Grandma, they out here fighting again." Oh man, I was in here dying. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So, good to see him, just continuing to succeed. And, I love to see black success, man. So congrats to him on a new role. And, it just speaks to the old school. Kwesi, my generation invented hip hop, right? You do know that.
I do agree with that. I cannot, you will get no arguments from me. And really, honestly, like when I talk about hip hop, at least for me, I'm referring to like Snoop, and I'm referring to Tupac and Biggie and, Run DMC. Like, that's what I think of when I think of hip hop. Like, I don't think about the Baby, Lil Baby, whatever the babies, all the babies. I don't know. I don't know any of their names, so I'm like, okay. I don't refer to them. I mean, they're cute, great. But, yeah, when I talk about real hip hop, that's the generation that I'm referring to for hip hop.
Yeah, that's because you've been raised well. You've been raised well. Yeah, but I mean, that's because I think one of the important things, and this is not to say that there aren't rappers now who are just fantastic, Kendrick Lamar and others who, really have something to say. And I appreciate them. But, when you talk about having to have lyrical prowess, when you talk about having to be creative and say something beyond profanity, beyond violence, beyond pornography, you know what I mean? Then you got to kind of look to kind of the roots of hip hop, and I know that going forward it's going to change. Everything does, and I look for other rappers to come up and really grab hold of that legacy. But I say all that to say this: there's a reason that Snoop has staying power. You understand what I'm saying? When you can be unique, and when you can, when your music can go on beyond the time frame when you recorded it, when you can play it a generation later and it still has some resonance, then that you actually have put some creativity and artistry into what you've done. Now, some people are going to have some stuff that's, it's going to hit right now, and you can't play it 10 or 20 years later because don't nobody know what you're talking about. But the joy of music, and this goes for hip hop and gospel and classical and everything else, is when that music can transcend generations. And Kwesi, you know what I'm talking about, because you sing music that was made before you were born, but music that still has a resonance to it, that still has a meaning to it because it speaks to the human condition. That's how you get staying power, when you go beyond the moment and you can speak to people's hearts in a way that anybody can understand it.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right about that. And that is why, you have a lot of these, and they're legends. To me, they're legends. Why, they're able to, like you said, have that staying power because of the fact that when they're speaking to, their generation, they're also speaking to our generation too. And it's crazy. Like when you talk about NWA and some of their songs, and I'm sitting there listening, I'm like, yo, did they write this today, or did they write this, however many years ago? So, you have to give credit and respect where credit and respect is due. There is absolutely a reason why Snoop Dogg is still relevant, and so many other, rappers like him, because of the fact that what they were saying is timeless.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then you have to have also the ability to adapt and to change and to move. You know, you can't be stuck in have your feet stuck in cement. You know, I'm stuck in 1985 and that's it. Like, nah, you gotta be able to move. And so we want to hear from you. You give us a call. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Diane from South Philly is on line one. Go ahead, Diane.
Good morning, Queen Harissa, all the word listeners, the family. I am a dedicated black grandmother. I'm crushing up ice, sliced cherries, grapes, made a tuna fish sandwich. I did on ice for Sugar Lady because I'm taking her to the flower show.
Okay.
And I'm doing it because my friend just called and told me that a hamburger out there is $19.
Woo! Lord have mercy.
Well, listen, the Lord going to have mercy. Now, here they're coming in here, in our area, making money off of us. Are we getting some of those proceeds back? Let's keep it real. And tell Six that she is not the gymnast like Simone made that trip. She's getting a gold medal in the house, but I hope she gets better.
Me too.
Oh, I know, because, listen, your wife will have a heart attack, something happens to that cat.
Yeah.
You might be sleeping outside. Love you, man.
Love you back.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Diane. And, make them tuna fish sandwiches, man, because I am not going to no flower show paying $19 for a hamburger. Ken from Center City is online, too. Go ahead, Ken. How you doing?
I'm fine, Solomon. I've been in and out. A lot of things been going on, but I listen to you more than you realize.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
You talk about Snoop. And I knew Snoop had made it when I saw him on the Jay Leno show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like more than one. And he had Jay saying things like, ship him like this or that. I'm saying, go ahead, Snoop. And, you know, he has had 2 television shows.
Yeah, he's doing his thing.
And you know, he's doing it. And, but he said, you know, you got a lot to be smiling for. What the heck you smiling for? And young people today, I mean, that's what he said. And I'm just saying, but, you know, it is good, you know, it is good to hear you guys, and it's good to hear you talking about black success because Snoop has sustained because his originality, I mean, he wasn't vulgar, he's not vulgar. He is like a one of a kind. And he gives back, and then he tried to help coach his son's football team and all of this, you know, but, you know, those are the things that most people don't know. And they look at him, you know, but hey, he's on the beach, like you said. He's on the beach.
Yep.
Collecting money.
Yep.
But he did it the old-fashioned way. He worked for it. But it's good to hear your voice, man. Are the kids in high school, college, or what are they doing now?
Yeah, well, Eve is taking some online courses in college and working, and Solomon will be graduating from high school next year. So yeah, they are you know, they doing their thing.
Old. One of us is getting older.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I ain't saying who it is. Listen, give my regards to everybody, please. And
I sure will.
You keep on doing what you're doing, man.
Will do. Will do. Good to hear from you, Ken. And I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We got a couple minutes. Yeah, that was Sticks in it. Did you hear the cat meowing, Quasa?
I did. I was like,
did you hear her? Yeah, she meowing. Meowing and limping around. Lord have mercy.
Poor baby.
I know. And see, this is the kind of stuff that happened when my wife leaves. She goes away for a couple of days, go spend time with my mom and her uncle and dog or a cat. Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully she's all right. I will be, you know, checking on it and taking it to the vet today. You know what I mean? Taking it to the vet today. So, yeah. So what are people saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have a few more comments that we have here. Just trying to, there we go. Waiting for my stuff to pop up. So Robert Garland says, no, Quasa, it's exactly that type of thinking that gave us Trump. All the black intellectuals voted for Stein and encouraged everyone else to do so. Robert Silverwhite says, good morning, Ken. And then also Diane Fassett says here, oh, wait, hold on a minute. She's responding to someone. Cleo Weekend says, okay, demo rats is what you call them. They just Republicans who can't afford the country club. Sorry. Oh, my goodness. And Diane Fassett says, and some can buy the country club with our money. Oh, gosh. And then Juanita Bryan says, I really came to respect Snoop after seeing him in the movie 16 Steps with Bruce Willis. Yeah, Snoop is actually a good actor, too. Okay. You know, so, I mean, a lot, and that's the other thing, too. And I don't know, I find, and I don't want to, sidebar here, but I find that, like the really good comedians and the really good rappers are actually really good actors. They transition into that really well. So, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so he is a good actor. Phyllis Williams says, maybe we think about it, but don't dwell on it. I think that's in response to maybe my comments talking about the Democrats. Not sure. Diane Fassett also says Snoop Dogg is a complete riot. All he has to do is show up on camera and he cracks me up. One of the best natural comedians. Very true. And then Phyllis Williams says, Snoop is happy as a tick on a dog. Oh, my God. Y'all are funny. Got jokes today. So, yeah, those are just some of the comments, some of the additional comments that we have on our Facebook page. I know a couple other people had made some other comments too. Winona Hayes Poole, that was so funny, Solomon. I remember that Kanye West is crazy, but he was speaking the truth that day. He was, and it was so awkward because like Mike Myers was just like, oh my God, what do I do? Go somewhere else. Like it was just so awkward. But I was like, every black person was like, you right? But we did. And then also we have here Gloria Gainey. And how come the Democrats aren't calling them out on these lies? So that's another comment that we have as well. But yeah, those are most of our comments there. We're running at the end of the show, so I will toss it back over to you, Solomon.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us on today's show, and I want to thank each and every one of our guests as well. Mary Catherine Roper of the ACLU of Pennsylvania, Dr. Delana Wardlaw and Dr. Elena McDonald, board-certified physicians, Ali Salahuddin of the Juneteenth celebration, and, of course, Pastor Alan Waller, who joined us to talk about what's going on with the police trying to get their jobs back after that Facebook scandal. We must stand against that. And now, for super producer Kawesa Mathis and everyone here at WURD Radio, I'm your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.